Just give me a second, it's loading. Good morning, real life traders. Good morning, everybody on YouTube. Happy Friday. What in the world have you all done to the markets? I took a couple weeks off. For those of you who don't know, I had surgery last week, and leading up to it, I had taken a little bit of time off. So I basically have stepped away from the markets for not quite a full 2 weeks, but pretty close. But what did you do when I was gone? It is crazy. Like and when I say stepped away from markets, like, during my recovery, I didn't look at the market at all. And then yesterday and the day before, I started watching. I'm like, what has happened? So it's like, I go away and you just wreck the markets. Crazy. Thank you, Brandon. Yeah, so I had a cervical spinal fusion surgery. They had to address some herniated discs in my neck. So they fused my let's see, C4, 5, 5, 6, and 7. So anyway, Matt, it's not as serious as it sounds. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention. I was just like, I got to get it done. So, so maybe it is serious, but for me, it's like, but the crazy thing is it's an 8-week recovery. So, like, I'm not even supposed to be standing in front of the computer right now, but I'm like, I feel well enough to do that. I mean, I'm going to be with you all for an hour. So, anyway, let's take a look at the markets. I mean, just everything getting wrecked. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Here's the S&P. Here's the NASDAQ. If there's any good news right now in terms of the markets, potentially looking at double bottom here, right? So I know that we made new lows, at least over here on the S&P. Haven't quite made a new low here on the NASDAQ, but if there's any positive potential outlook, is that we are looking at potential double bottoms on the market. So we'll have to be today will be an interesting day to see how the markets fare. I expect it, because it's a Friday and it's the end of the month, I expect it to be kind of a slow day. Let me just, sorry, I'm just going to log into something real quick. Yeah, so I'm expecting kind of a slow day. I'm not expecting a lot of movement in the markets, probably more sideways movement. Let's take a look at where we are. Right now, if we zoom in here on the S&P, we're looking at an inside day right now, right? So inside day, typically a lot of chop. It's, we're probably looking at a lot of sideways movement. Same thing here on the NASDAQ, right? Inside day. So, we're gapping down a little bit from yesterday's close, but we're not gapping below yesterday's low. So that's right, Matt. Inside day equals chop. That is typically the way it is, especially on a Friday. Like, so Fridays are one of those days where, like, not my favorite day to trade. Historically, if I go back and I look at my my stats on Fridays, like, one of my worst days to trade. So I often don't even bother trading. Like, I have to really see a good setup on a Friday to want to take it. And if we do see it, we'll take it, right? And yeah, so English says it's the last day of the month. Correct. Yeah. So we've got the it's the last day of the month. There's options that are going to be expiring. I mean, so today is probably just going to be, like I said, a lot of just sideways action, a lot of chop. I'm going to, let me just real quick over on this other computer, open up my MetaTrader, because I haven't opened that yet. By the way, Brandon Blevins. So I did a workshop before I took the time off for the surgery. I did a workshop, but I just wanted you to know I gave you all the props. So I did a workshop that was tips and tools to improve your day trading. And I gave you the props for the risk calculator app. So that was one of the things that I featured in that presentation, was the risk calculator app. So for all of you who are using the funded account and using MetaTrader and you saw that presentation, that all came from Brandon, the risk calculator. He's the one that turned me on to that. So, all right. So right now, again, we're just looking at some sideways action. We have over here on the SPY, okay? This is the weekly 200, so we do have some support there underneath the SPY in terms of the weekly moving averages, and then same thing on the Qs, right? So here's the, again, this choppy line. I can tell that that's the weekly because it's got that choppy, it's not a smooth line. So I have a indicator that I use that can plot the higher time frame moving averages on a lower time frame. So these are daily charts that you look in there for SPY and for the Qs. And so I know that we do have support there. So if you look at all this in like the context and you start like checking off the boxes, so yeah, we're looking at double bottoms. We have the weekly 200 there, so support. Now, does that mean that that's going to hold us up and we're not going to go lower? No, of course not. But it's likely, it would not surprise me if this level held and we bounced out of here, because we bounced out of here once before, right? So if we come back and we look here, you know, when we got to this level once before, you know, we bounced out of it. And the same thing here on the NASDAQ. So I wouldn't be surprised if next week and week after we actually see some type of a bounce. Now, is that going to be a strong bounce, or just gonna be a dead cat bounce? I'm not sure, but you know, that's why we keep an eye on the market every single day, right? Have to restart. Guess I gotta do an update to my MetaTrader. Give me 1 second. All right, so let's take a look at, let me switch screens. We're going to take a look at each of our individual stocks. So real quick before we do that, just, you know, so Nike reported earnings. Nike's getting crushed. A lot of the retail is getting crushed. They're you know, sympathy plays. So Foot Locker, Lulu, if you take a look at those retailers, they're all down. Of course, you know, they had all of those had a bearish day yesterday. So we're looking at a retest gap. So if anybody's looking at anything outside of our 10 EMA list, Foot Locker, Dick's Sporting Goods, Lulu, Nike, you know, they're all down. Now, are they going to keep running down? Who knows? I mean, Nike's down quite a bit. It could be a buying area for Nike. So just keep that in mind, that just because, and it's down quite a bit right now. It looks like, I don't know if this is accurate, but it looks like it's down around 11%. So, so anyway, just keep in mind, it could be because it is a retest gap. And also, if you should be, let's see, let me change the share and we'll go and we'll just look at this real quick. Okay, so you should be seeing the chart of Nike here. I've got a 3-minute chart. Let me change it to a 5, just get a little bit of a higher time frame. And you've got the daily chart here, right? So, you know, yesterday, let's see, when did earnings came out? Earnings after market. Okay, so big day yesterday, right? Look at that volume, tons of bearish volume. Now the question is that, you know, is that exhaustion selling, right? After this move down, I mean, that's a ton of volume. So you just have to ask yourself, and it's getting to the point where, you know, on the RSI here, where it's getting to be oversold. The question is, with that volume, is that exhaustion selling, and are we actually going to come and bounce out of here? So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, look at this move here pre-market, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see Nike actually start getting bought up down here. So just be aware of that. You know, just be quick taking profits if you were to trade something like Nike or any of those other retailers. All right, let's start taking a look at our 10 EMA plays. All right, NVIDIA. Just checking the news, see if there's anything. Nothing jumping out at me. Again, RSI and NVIDIA is down here close to that, you know, that 30 range down here. So it's getting to the point where it is oversold on the RSI now. Again, we all know that stocks can remain oversold and overbought for quite some time. Doesn't mean that it's going to turn around right away. It's just an indication that things are oversold down here. If we zoom in a little bit here, we have on the daily chart. So yesterday, a little bit of a hammer candle there, bearish candle, yes, but hammerish. So there was definitely some buying, right? So the bulls, the bears have pushed it down, made that new low, and then the bulls stepped in and started buying it up. So, kind of a nice close in terms of that could have ended. Clearly, at one point, this was a big, huge bearish candle. So nice that it actually got bought up. If we look at the pre-market, right? So green lines here represent the high and the low from yesterday. These orange lines represent the high and low from the pre-market. We are trading, we are inside of yesterday's price action, okay? Now, if we open up, let's see, where are we right now? It's 122.30. Hey, Hector. So 122.30 was the close, right? So right now we would be opening below the close, a little bit of a gap down, but again, keep in mind it's a gap down, but it would be a bearish gap down, right? Bearish day yesterday, gapping down again today. So it's a retest gap, but it's also not going to be clearing yesterday's low. It's going to be gapping within yesterday's entire price action. So again, be patient. Expect that there's going to be a lot of retest, potential sideways movement until price were to break the low from yesterday, if we go lower, or the high if we go higher, right? Then you're going to look for some direction. But overhead resistance here, we got a little bit of ways to go here. So here is the weekly 200 here, right? So that's here, and then here's the daily 10 coming down. So you do have some overhead resistance, but it's a little ways away. So there's, if we do end up going bullish today, potentially, then there is a little bit of room there for NVIDIA to get up to these moving averages. Take a look at Tesla. Tesla, lots of lines here. Okay, let's dissect this because there's a ton of lines and everyone's like, what am I looking at? All right, so here, today 8 p.m. live stream. Michael's just throwing out there Tesla AI day. All right, so Tesla, big bearish day yesterday, right? And again, a lot of bearish volume, right? Not as oversold here. It's still has not yet hit that true like oversold area, but again, big bearish candle. We are trading currently. We are near the lows from yesterday, so we're down here near the bottom of yesterday's price action. Again, we would have to break through that, but look, got to be aware of all this support down here in the ways of moving averages. So we have this choppy line here is the weekly 100. This smoother line here is the daily 100. So we do have, and those carry over to my intraday chart here. So you can see that we do have some strong support here in terms of the moving averages. Now, again, can we get below that? Of course we can, but just be aware that if you get into a trade, if you go short on Tesla, you're likely to get a bounce out of this area here. So when you're looking at your risk versus reward, just be aware of where those moving averages are, right? So if you're shooting for 1.2 and your 1.2 target has to be down here, you might want to, just check yourself and see if you really want to take that trade, because you're going to have to get through these moving averages to hit that target. And then, of course, you're watching the market, see what the market's doing, right? So the other lines here. So we've got the orange lines, pre-market high, pre-market low, pretty wide range there for the pre-market. This red line here is the monthly, this thick red line is the monthly 10 EMA. So if we do end up going bullish out of here, we do have this level that we're going to have to get through, and then you've got other moving averages up here. Just reading the news here to see if there's any type of a news catalyst. Nothing really. Okay. Moving on. Amazon. Jay's posting that CCL Carnival earnings are out. So missed. So we'll have to see. We'll take a look at CCL in a minute here. Let me just make a note. Take a look at that and see what that's doing. All right, Amazon. So Amazon is holding this level here, right? So nice consolidation here on the daily chart. And again, we don't know which direction this is going to go, right? So consolidation, it's building pressure. It's going to end up breaking out of this, this consolidation, right? We just don't know whether it's going to be to the bear side or the bullish side. But nice consolidation here. Just this sideways action here. The longer it goes sideways, the more pressure it's going to build. Yeah, David, the huge gap on Lulu, all of that is simply sympathy play to Nike. So Nike came out with their earnings, they got crushed, they're way down. And so Lulu, Foot Locker, Dick's Sporting Goods, they're all kind of sympathy plays for Nike, right? So just be aware of that the gap on some of these other ones, are just tied to the gap on Nike, right? So there may not be really a true catalyst behind like move for like Lulu, right? All right, so Amazon. So we've got the high and the low from yesterday. Just take a look at the pre-market. Got the high and the low here. And this long lower wick. I assume that's probably a real wick down here. Not sure if that's anybody has that on trading view, but it is showing up here on Thinkorswim. So again, sideways action, right? We're going to be opening up somewhere within yesterday's trading range. Again, looking down here at the RSI, not completely oversold, but we're getting close. So again, just expect some sideways action and movement there. Okay, thanks, Zach. Zach is saying that TradingView has that wick as well. So, but either way, you have just be aware of your pre-market high and low. So, by the way, pre-market high technically is up here where the high from yesterday was. I just dropped mine down a little bit just because I saw this point here and this. It was really this candle here, right, that came up and got rejected. So I just threw in my lines there. But the true pre-market high is up here where the high of yesterday's candle is. If we do go bearish, we don't really have. I mean, this is we're on a 3-month time frame here, but we really don't have much in terms of the way of. Just go out a little bit here. Just see where we could potentially find some support. So maybe through the 111.25 area, certainly down here at the 107, right through here. So 107.25. So there is some room to go to the downside if we end up breaking lower. To the bullish side, we do have a couple of moving averages here. Here's the daily 10, the daily 100, daily 20 here. Okay, so just but again, I do anticipate here with Amazon, we're just going to continue this sideways movement on this Friday. I don't really anticipate. Again, I could be completely wrong. I'm wrong a lot. So, but I would expect Amazon just to continue to kind of build pressure. Have today be another day where it just kind of maybe it breaks a little bit, comes back up. But either way, I do expect more sideways action on Amazon. Let's take a look at AMD. Now, AMD, interesting. So AMD, this is the first one that we looked at where it is truly into that oversold area, right? So it's down below the 30 level here, right? You can see that. So we are truly oversold on AMD. Now, again, we can remain oversold for some time. It doesn't mean that it's just going to turn around right now and go bullish. But just be aware that it is oversold. There was a lot of bearish volume yesterday. You did have some buying in here, right? You do have a little bit of the lower wick here. So question is on that kind of volume, right? That increased volume here, bearish volume. Again, you just have to wonder and ask yourself, is that potentially exhaustion selling, right? And if it is, then we could potentially be looking at, that being finding some support there and bouncing out of here. Again, with the rest of the market, with with futures and with the SPY and the Qs double bottoming, potentially this could be an area. Michael's asking, AMD, do you think the pop yesterday was from shorts closing the position? Yeah, I mean, it could be from the shorts close, because I mean, certainly, look, a lot of people who were short were profitable. So yeah, I mean, for sure, Michael, there's a chance that that buying was nothing more than the shorts closing out positions and creating the buying. But there's no way for us to really know. We're just going to have to just keep an eye on it. But yeah, I mean, that's whether this was bull stepping in or the shorts taking profit, we'll see. But it is fairly oversold at this point. Just trying to see if there's any type of a divergence, but there's not. I mean, we're here, it makes sense, right? You look at here, this low here compared to this low, and if you look at the RSI, here it was just barely touching that line, and now we're below. So it's not like there's a bullish divergence that shows that potential bounce. I mean, like AMD could just continue to go down, right, and remain oversold for quite some time. So but we are, again, just like everything else, opening within yesterday's range, right? So we're just gonna have to be patient and wait and see if there's some type of a break. All right, we've got 5 more minutes. Let's get to take a look at Apple now. Again, I know Apple is not on the 10 EMA list per se, but I do keep an eye on it. Let's see. Just checking the news. I always look at the news just to see if there's any type of a catalyst. What's interesting here on Apple is that all of this now, if you go back to the previous day, right? Not surprising that this is the weekly 100 here, right? There probably were lots of orders sitting there looking to, buy up Apple off of that moving average, right? Makes sense. So a lot of volume here, and then that volume was taken out. Not a great sign for Apple. So Apple could continue to go lower here. Not quite oversold. It's getting close to that line, but it's not like it's right there. I mean, if you would look at Apple on here on this chart, right? So one thing to keep an eye out for is, could we potentially end up coming lower here and then forming some type of a inverted head and shoulders, right, on the daily chart. So, well, we kind of had it here, right? So that makes, so yeah, I mean, that neckline is here has been broken. So I just noticed this move here. So that was the inverted head and shoulders. For those of you who are newer to trading and looking for chart patterns, right? I mean, here is a great example of a this section here, right? Here's a shoulder, head, shoulder, and then typically when you see the head and shoulders pattern at the bottom of a move like that, you look for a bullish move. So that was a really nice example of a inverted head and shoulders here. Boom. So Apple, anyway, so we have Apple looking weak. That's a lot of bearish volume after it took out all that bullish volume from the day before. You do have some overhead resistance here. This is the weekly 100. And then just like open space, no moving averages underneath. Let's go to the monthly just to see what we have. Yeah, I mean, look. We have the monthly 10. Let me drop a line in here because I don't have it. I do want to. So this line is 145.02. And I always make my monthly, I make the line heavier. So I take it to a 4. Actually, that needs to be black. Hang on. All right. So there we have, now we have the view of the monthly, but we don't have any other, moving averages. So where are we looking at for out? Probably down here, 136.45, 136, somewhere in this area here, right? If you're looking at the monthly. So there is some room to get to drop if we do break this. So if anybody's looking to trade Apple, we could potentially get a move. No, not necessarily today all the way down there, but anything's possible. But 136.25, 136.50. So keep an eye on that, on those levels. Market is opening in 1 minute. I'm going to sign off from YouTube. Thank you for being with us. If you are not a member of Real Life Trading, you can always go to reallifetrading.com, check it out, join the community. We have a great community of traders. We trade together every single day. Great support. You can communicate, you can share ideas, all those good things. All right, let me go ahead and stop the stream.